everyone gets the blues now and then, but for millions, depression is a serious illness that is often misunderstood.
Well, Janet Pfeiffer is our self-help expert here. She's here to discuss some methods of healing that don't involve pills or prescriptions. And Janet, of course, you're not a medical doctor, but there are some things that you can do to address this yourself.
Yes, actually, I suffered from depression at 2 different times in my life. One when I was a teenager and one when I was pregnant with my last child, and it extended beyond the birth of that child. And unfortunately, it went untreated. I didn't realize that it was even a medical condition. I just thought that this was the way people live their life. And I was fortunate that I found alternative ways of healing myself that didn't involve taking medication, and people need to know that.
Well, it's important though that you do see a doctor, but again, if they say, I want to prescribe medications, and you say, I'm not so sure about medications, what do you suggest to some of your clients? What are your experiences in alternative treatments?
Okay, well, the one thing that I would want to say is that if the depression is serious enough, you might want to go on medication as a temporary form of treatment, because depression can lead to suicide. There are 850,000 suicides a year, so you don't want to take that chance. But for me, I found that aerobic exercise is a great tool for me, because what it does is it releases endorphins.
But when you're depressed, you don't feel like exercising. That's an issue.
That's true. Of course it is. And sometimes you just have to get up and kind of force yourself to do things the same way that you may force yourself to get up and brush your teeth or make dinner for your family. You have to kind of fake it till you make it.
When you're depressed, sometimes you don't even do that.
Well, that's true.
There's some measure of self-discipline you have to impose on the process. But let me ask you, there's a big difference, I would imagine, between being sad and being depressed.
Yes, big difference. And we all go through periods of sadness, but what happens is we recognize that that's a temporary condition. We realize that, we understand what we're sad about, and we know that we can get beyond that, because there's still a lot of good things in our life to be grateful for. But when you're depressed, the difference is that you suffer from apathy. You really you feel like an empty shell, and so there's this sense of hopelessness, there's this sense of impending doom, and you just don't even care. I mean, that's the most frightening part.
Well, it is a medical condition.
Yes.
The question is it preventable?
I believe that it is, because I've been able to be depression-free now for more than 30 years. And I think what we need...
But again, you're not a doctor, but in your experience, though...
I'm talking from my own personal experience and the clients that I've helped. I think that there are certain things that we need to do, just like certain medical conditions are preventable. If you take good care of yourself through nutrition and good hygiene and exercise and things like that, I do believe that we can prevent maybe not all depression, but a significant amount by incorporating daily routines that can alleviate any kind of depression, such as aerobic exercise. Nature is a great reliever of anxiety and stress and sadness. Prayer for me is huge. The more I pray, the more at peace I feel, and the more connected I am, to my Creator.
How much do friends and family play a part in all of this?
Depends on who your friends and family are. We don't all have good ones.
But
I think having a really good support system is critical, because depression isolates you, and that is one of the leading causes of depression, of those feelings of being disconnected from others.
But you bring up a point, when it comes to that support system, some will self-medicate through alcohol, and that's not a good thing either. So again, what I'm hearing from you is you need to get not just medical advice from a doctor, but seek out support groups. There's support groups.
Oh, there are, and I think support groups are invaluable. But go to your family, go to your friends. If you're at work, talk to your HR person or talk to somebody there that you can trust, and reach out and get that help, because it is available. You don't need to suffer through this alone. How
about if you're the other half of someone who's going through depression? How do you get yourself involved in that process to help that person?
Okay, well, whether it's a family member, a friend, or a coworker, it's really important to be compassionate, first of all, and not judge that person, and refrain from saying things like, well, just get over it, okay, or it's not a real illness. It is. I mean, it's a clinical diagnosis, so we have to take it seriously. But offer support, bring them resources. All right, don't just say, go get help. Give them the name of somebody to call, an expert in the field of depression. Let them know that you're there for them in whatever way that you can assist.
Give them a ride down to the office.
Absolutely, if that's what they need, sure.
I mean, and the importance is to acknowledge it, just like any other problem. But so
Yeah.
many people are embarrassed about it. And they
Yes.
think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and you know what? Well, there's something wrong with all of us, whether it's a medical issue or an emotional issue. There's no shame in that. We're not perfect. Look, if anybody out there is feeling embarrassed about suffering from depression, call me, because I have suffered from it and I'm not embarrassed. There's a stigma, a social stigma that still is attached to mental health issues. We need to remove that. We need to recognize them as legitimate issues, and we need to reach out and be compassionate towards one another.
I read something great on Facebook, and I'll end with this. And depression, anxiety, things like this are not a sign of weakness. It's often a sign you've just fought too hard. So Janet Pfeiffer, we thank you for your advice on this issue.
Always my pleasure.